Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you're welcome to Operationalization Academy. Please will create your indulgence to subscribe to our channels, like us, leave your comment, and also share the videos. Thank you. Excuse me. And today, we are going to be looking at conceptualization, operationalization, and hypothesizing of variables in a scientific research. As usual, we have lined up these sub-themes where we going to look at the meaning of conceptualization in research. Under that, we're going to look at understanding what we mean by concepts, conceptualization, conceptual framework, as the case may be, in scientific research. And thereafter, we'll also look at operationalization, which is of how you operationalize your concept in your study. Then thereafter, we are going to do a linkage between the concept, conceptualization, and your hypothesis formulation. And we are going to show a practical example. Going forward, what is our understanding of concepts or conceptualization in research? A minute. Literally, a concept will mean an abstraction of an idea that is being studied in a scientific research. What this means is that once you formulate your research topic, there are main concepts that will be included that will need clearer understanding. And in doing that, we have brought out two examples, and that's what we're going to be working with today. Here in topic 1, we have said the effect of leadership styles on organizational performance. Now, if you come here, we'll say that the effect of leadership style on organizational performance, as the case may be. Now, having said this, we are going to be looking at sharing the screen so that we'll get a clearer understanding. Now, in this topic, as we see here, for instance, in this topic, the main concept of the topic is the leadership style and, of course, the organizational performance. The leadership style and the organizational performance. Having said that, the main concept in this study, as said, is leadership style and organizational performance. Now, going forward, to conceptualize leadership style means that we need to create a proxy, or we need to create what is called a measure, or we need to create for instance, a construct that would depict the meaning of leadership style, as it were. Now, literally, these are not conjured from the blues. It is expected that we have read literature extensively. The reason being that it is expected that scholars or authors or researchers would have, agreed on the common measures of this concept, for instance, leadership style. And some of the concepts we can have as a proxy for leadership style is: one, the leadership style can be authoritarian, as the case may be. Authoritarian. Authoritarian. Okay, let's go by way of this authoritarian leadership style. Excuse me. Then we can also have another process or measures to determine the kind of leaderships that we can also have transformational leadership style. Another one we can also have is situational leadership style, and we can also have charismatic leadership style. Of course, there's democratic leadership style, as the case may be. Now, what this means is that this concept has been demystified or has been prosy by any of these measures, meaning that anytime you need to study what is leadership style, excuse me, you can either choose to study authoritarian leadership style. You can also either choose to study transformational leadership style, situational leadership style, up to democratic leadership style, depending on what you're looking at. Now, on the second variable, which is organizational performance, as the case may be, organizational performance. Here, you agree with me that this concept can be conceptualized in such that you look at measures that are agreed in literature as to measure what performance is, and there are various measures or processes through which you can use to measure organizational performance. For instance, we can use profit, or simply say profitability. We can also use, depending on the kind of organization you are working on, we can also use sales volume, as the case may be. We can also use maybe assets, depending on what you're looking at. No, depending on the topic you are working on, you can use total assets, and as the case may be. So here we have been able to conceptualize the concept of leadership style in this topic and organizational performance. So let's go back to our study. So here, leadership style would be has been conceptualized as the case may be. Now, going to the second example, says monetary policy. Monetary policy influences. Does monetary policy influences real growth? Let's add economic growth here. Does monetary policy influences real economic growth? The Nigerian experience. Now, if you bring it back here, we can say that again. Let's go further. This topic 2. Topic 2 will say, does monetary policy influences? Does monetary policy influences? Does monetary policy influences? Real economic growth. Real economic growth. That's a question mark. The Nigerian experience. So here, having identified our concept, the major concept of this study to be monetary policy, and of course the real economic growth, meaning that this serves as a dependent variable, while monetary policy will serve as an independent variable. So in that wise, monetary policy, of course, can take the form of, as a measurement, can take the form of monetary policy rates, often by the CBN, and of course it can also take cash reserve, reserve ratio. It could also take liquidity ratio, as the case may be. The essence is that monetary policies can be determined on the basis of these three conceptualized measures of monetary policy. There are more, so we just try to use that. Then going forward, of course, real economic growth, as it implies, means that we can use the real gross domestic product, which is of course the deflated GDP of a country. So moving forward, we'll see here that we have been able to identify our concepts, and we have been able to conceptualize and operationalize the concept as it were in the study. Now, going forward, we after the conceptualization of the variables, what we have done here is to also to give a pictorial framework that guides each of the topics that we are using for our example. Now, going forward, we can see here that leadership style is the independent variable, and why this organizational performance is the dependent variable. Likewise, you come here, the monetary policy is the independent variable, while the real economic growth is the dependent variable. And here we'll ask that how many hypotheses can be found in this conceptual framework. How many hypotheses can be found in this conceptual framework? Now, going forward, we want to bring to our understanding the meaning of operationalization and how you link it with the way your hypotheses are formulated. Now, in the words of Tuckman 1978, it says that whichever way a concept is stated, it is not directly tested in the form in which it is generally stated. Now, what this means is that it's very generality. It's a distinguishing characteristic that limits the direct testability of that concept. The implication is that whichever concept you choose, you must conceptualize it and operationalize this concept such that you can subject it to empirical or scientific testing. So it goes further to say that to become testable, it must be transformed into a more specific or operationalized statement. So if you go back here, one can say that you cannot just say you want to test for leadership style and organizational performance and still use same as your hypothesis. That this concept must be operationalized in the sense that you must assign agreed measurement. You must assign agreed measurement such that it is accepted or acceptable in the literature. So here we say that when you operationalize, you are simply telling us how the measures or the conceptualizations of the concept of your topic is being measured or being quantified. For instance, you can say that your variable, for example, monetary policy and real economic growth. They can come in various forms or any other topic for that matter. It can be operationalized based on currency form, which can either be in naira, in dollar, in euro, or yen. Also, it could be in thousands, it could be in millions or in billions terms. Also, it could be in absolute figure, ratio or percentage as the case may be. And this will probably lead you to the process of formulating your model in the study. So from here, we'll see that our uh, our second example that is used, we talked about monetary policies, monetary policy and real economic growth. We said monetary policy is measured by real gross domestic product, which is a function of monetary policy rate, cash reserve ratio, and liquidity ratio as it were. So it is not enough that you just say you are looking at monetary policy and real economic growth without operationalizing those two concepts as it were. Now, going forward, stating your hypothesis, you would not say that for instance, if it's going to be stated in its form, let's do a bit of exercise here. For instance, if your hypothesis is going to be stated in the null form, you could say uh, ideally or literally or conventionally, you say there is no significant relationship between let's say monetary policy and real economic growth. Monetary policy and economic growth. This would not suffice because literally your topic simply just tells us that you are looking at monetary policy and real economic growth. What we mean here by the operationalization of variables in which would propel you to stating your hypothesis. What you ought to do is to simply tell us that there is no significant relationship with there's no significant relationship with one of those measures that you have used, uh, one of those measures that you have used or to proxy monetary policy, which is monetary policy rate, other than monetary policy itself. There's no significant relationship, no significant relationship between monetary policy rate and real gross domestic product. You do likewise for other variables, other than just saying that there is no significant relationship between monetary policy and real economic growth as it were. So going forward, we can see that here we simply have 1, 2, 3 hypotheses that has been specified. 1, 2, 3, because you are specifying relationship between this monetary policy and real economic growth. And monetary policy has been operationalized and measured in terms of monetary policy rate, cash reserve ratio, and liquidity ratio. So if you go backward, we'll say that how many hypotheses that are here? There are simply 3. So here, how many hypotheses that we'll say will be here? This will be hypothesis 1, hypothesis 2, hypothesis 3, hypothesis 4, hypothesis 5, hypothesis 6. So here we'll say there are 6 hypotheses that is here. Thank you. I hope we've been able to demystify conceptualization, operationalization, and how hypotheses can be stated. Please like, subscribe to our videos, like our channel, leave your comment, and do share this video.